The Wonderful Wizard of Oz. Chapter 2. The Council with the Munchkins. Dorothy woke up because there was a sudden and strong shock. She was not hurt because she had been lying on her soft bed. When she sat up, she saw that the house had stopped moving and it was no longer dark. Bright sunlight was shining through the window and lighting up the little room. She quickly got out of bed, and with Toto following her, she ran to open the door. Dorothy cried out in surprise and looked around, her eyes growing wide at the amazing things she saw. The cyclone had set the house down gently. There was green grass everywhere and tall trees with lots of delicious fruit. Beautiful flowers grew all around, and birds with bright, colorful feathers were singing and flying in the trees and bushes. A short distance away, there was a small stream with green banks. The water sparkled in the sun and made a sound Dorothy liked, especially after living so long on the dry, gray prairies. As Dorothy was looking at all the strange and beautiful sights, she saw a group of the oddest people she had ever seen coming towards her. They were not as tall as the adults she knew, but they were not really short either. They seemed to be about the same height as Dorothy, who was a tall child for her age, but they looked much older than she was. There were 3 men and 1 woman, and all of them wore strange clothes. Their round hats were pointed at the top and had little bells around them that made a sweet sound when they moved. Dorothy thought the men were about as old as Uncle Henry, since 2 of them had beards. The woman, however, seemed much older, with a wrinkled face and hair that was almost completely white. When these people got near the house where Dorothy stood in the doorway, they stopped and whispered to each other like they were afraid to go closer. But the little old woman went up to Dorothy, made a low bow, and said in a gentle voice, "You are welcome, most noble sorceress, to the land of the Munchkins. We are very thankful to you for killing the Wicked Witch of the East and setting our people free from her control." Dorothy listened to the woman's words with amazement. She did not understand why the little woman called her a sorceress or said that she killed the Wicked Witch of the East. Dorothy was just an innocent girl who had been brought far from home by the cyclone, and she had never hurt anyone in her life.
I just got here.
However, the little old woman seemed to expect Dorothy to reply, so Dorothy said with hesitation, "You are very kind, but there must be a mistake. I haven't killed anything. Your house killed her," the little old woman said with a laugh. "And that is the same as if you did it. Look," she said, pointing to the corner of the house. "There are her 2 feet, still sticking out from under a block of wood." Dorothy looked and gave a little cry of fright. There, under the corner of the house, she saw 2 feet sticking out. They wore silver shoes with pointed toes. "Oh dear! Oh dear!" cried Dorothy, very worried. "The house must have fallen on her. What are we going to do?" "There is nothing we need to do," the little woman said calmly.
Oh my God!
"But who was she?" Dorothy asked. "She was the Wicked Witch of the East, as I said," replied the little woman. "She kept all the Munchkins as her slaves for many years, making them work day and night. Now they are free, and they are grateful to you for helping them." "Who are the Munchkins?" Dorothy asked. They are the people who live in this land of the East, where the Wicked Witch used to rule." The woman replied. "Are you a Munchkin?" asked Dorothy. "No, I am not a Munchkin, but I am their friend, even though I live in the land of the North." When the Munchkins saw that the Wicked Witch of the East was dead, they sent a fast messenger to me, and I came right away. I am the Witch of the North." "Oh, my goodness!" cried Dorothy. "Are you a real witch?" "Yes, I am," said the little woman. "But I am a good witch, and the people love me. I am not as powerful as the Wicked Witch who ruled here, or I would have freed the people myself. But I thought all witches were wicked," Dorothy said, feeling a little afraid to meet a real witch. "Oh no, that is a big mistake. There were only 4 witches in the whole land of Oz. 2 of them, the ones who live in the North and the South, are good witches. The witches who lived in the East and West were really wicked. But now that you have killed one, there is only one wicked witch left in Oz, the one who lives in the West." "But," Dorothy said, after thinking for a moment, "Aunt Em told me that all the witches died many years ago." "Who is Aunt Em?" the little old woman asked. "She is my aunt who lives in Kansas, where I came from," Dorothy replied. The Witch of the North stopped to think, with her head down and her eyes on the ground. Then she looked up and said, "I do not know where Kansas is, because I have never heard of that country before. But tell me, is it a civilized country?" "Oh, yes," Dorothy replied. "That must be the reason. I believe that in civilized countries there aren't any witches, wizards, sorceresses, or magicians left. Because we are cut off from the rest of the world, we still have witches and wizards here." "Who are the wizards?" Dorothy asked. "Oz himself is the great wizard," the witch replied in a whisper. "He is more powerful than all of us together. He lives in the City of Emeralds." At that moment, the Munchkins, who had been standing by in silence, gave a loud shout and pointed to the corner of the house where the Wicked Witch had been lying. "What is it?" asked the little old woman as she looked and began to laugh. The feet of the dead witch had disappeared, and all that was left were the silver shoes. She was so old, explained the Witch of the North, that the sun dried her up quickly. She is gone now, but these silver shoes belong to you, and you should wear them. She picked up the shoes, shook out the dust, and handed them to Dorothy. The Witch of the East was very proud of those silver shoes. Said one of the Munchkins, "There is some kind of magic in them, but we never knew what it was." Dorothy carried the shoes into the house and put them on the table.
These are for you.
Then she returned to the Munchkins and said, "I really want to get back to my aunt and uncle, because I know they will be worried about me. Can you help me find my way home?" The Munchkins and the witch looked at each other, then at Dorothy, and shook their heads. "There is a great desert to the east, not far from here," one said. "No one could cross it and survive." "It's the same in the south," said another. "I've been there and seen it." "It's the same in the west," added the third man. "The north is my home, said the old lady. And at its border is the same great desert that goes all around the land of Oz. I'm afraid, my dear, you will have to live here with us. Dorothy began to cry, feeling lonely and surrounded by strange people. The little old woman removed her cap and balanced its tip on her nose, then slowly counted. 1, 2, 3. In a serious voice. Suddenly, the cap became a slate, and on it, written in large white chalk letters, were the words, "Let Dorothy go to the City of Emeralds."
I just want to go home.
After reading the words on the board, the little old woman asked, "Is your name Dorothy, my dear?" "Yes," replied the child, looking up as she dried her tears. "Then you need to go to the City of Emeralds. Perhaps Oz will help you." "Where is this city?" Dorothy asked. "It is right in the center of the country, and it is ruled by Oz, the great wizard I told you about," she answered. "Is he a good man?" the girl asked anxiously. "He is a good wizard. I cannot say if he is a man or not, because I have never seen him," the woman replied. "How do I get there?" asked Dorothy. "You must go on foot. It is a long journey, and the land can be pleasant at times, but also dark and dangerous. Still, I will use all my magic to protect you from harm. Won't you come with me?" she asked. "No, I cannot do that," she replied. "But I will give you my kiss. No one will dare harm someone who has been kissed by the Witch of the North." She came close to Dorothy and gently kissed her on the forehead. Where her lips touched, a round, shining mark was left. "The road to the City of Emeralds is paved with yellow bricks," said the witch, "so you won't miss it." When you arrive at Oz, don't be afraid of him. Just tell your story and ask him for help. Goodbye, my dear. The three Munchkins bowed low and wished her a safe journey, then walked away through the trees. The witch spun around on her left heel 3 times and disappeared at once. Toto was very surprised and barked loudly after she had gone. But since Dorothy knew she was a witch, she wasn't surprised at all when she disappeared like that.
Follow the yellow brick road, Dorothy.